talking before, you probably read ahead. And you know everything that's coming, which is awesome. Actually, can I take that mic? Can I take your mic?
Yes, I'm glad you're rid of it.
Thank you. Sorry, testing 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. All right, so really quick. By the way, you know, super cool VBS curricula, they always have like a leader's message. And I went above and beyond. I got you 3 different sermons that are really good. So if you want, you see there is a QR code for Monday. And this one is Redemption Church Tempe. And it's talking about how creation groans as a result of sin. And it also talks about suffering from Romans chapter 8. I really enjoyed that sermon. All right, then on Jesus in the Temple, we have Growth by Francis Chan. And it's a really good sermon, so you can shoot it with your QR code on your phone. If you're tech savvy, if you have an Apple, it's fairly easy. If you don't have an Apple and you're like Noah, you know, I can help you out. But ultimately, the first 2 podcasts are on Apple Podcast. And even if you don't have an Apple phone, you can get access to them. And then the last podcast is Ron Dunn. And his message is Surprise, It's God. And it's another cool one somewhere in there. And it's a Spotify podcast. So once again, don't say that we didn't dig deeper for you as we gave you some spot. But once again, it does have to do with the lesson, but it doesn't really have to do with the lesson. So if you don't have time, check it out later. So day one. Day one, we basically want to get to the story of Josiah, but we also want to include the law in there, and we want to include rediscovering the law. And so I'm not going to tell the whole story, but you will get a world. And so, you know, if you looked at the notes, if you looked ahead, it talks about creation. And then when it talks about sin, you're going to tear your world in half and throw away part of it. If you have a trash can, that's great. If not, you can throw it away. But notice I saved the 10 Commandment side. So then you're going to get to Noah, and there's a boat. And then you're going to get to the children in Israel. It's very abridged. Children of Israel, God delivers them. They have the law. But then, as leaders, they throw away God's law. But that one, you want to know where it's at, because that's what they're going to find when King Josiah finds the law. So then you have the story of Josiah, and you'll find the law, and you can bring it back and, you know, I wonder what this is. And obviously anything that you can embellish makes it more exciting, but voila, you have the law. So that's the way to tell story number 1. Now, as teachers, some of you are teachers, you can do it however you want. I believe in giving everybody a cool tool, and if you use it, great. If you're like, you know what, I see where you're going with this, and I want to go in this direction, I trust you, that's why you're here. So thank you very much. All right, so that's day 1. Day 2, I want to focus on obedience. And, you know, there are 5 keys to obedience. And if you picture a lock, if that door has a deadbolt on it, and it has 5 deadbolts, if I unlock one of the deadbolts, am I going through the door? The answer is no. No. Good job. Good job. How about if I unlock 4 of the deadbolts? Am I going through the door? No, you're not. So you need all 5 keys to obedience to be obedient. And so I love to illustrate this as if I am little Joel and my mom has asked me to take out the trash. And so, you know, as far as how much time do you have to tell your story, you know, you have kind of a 25-minute period if you can tell the Bible lesson, but then have you know, an interactive fun part. But anyway, I'm going to do this part for you really quick. So Joel's mom says, Joel, it's time to eat. And I'm like playing a video game. Okay, I'll be right there. Am I being obedient? No. What did I not do? And I like visuals, and so I have instant Jell-O pudding. Now, I mentioned earlier, this is just side note. This is free. This is like your squirrel moment. When I was in Russia, you could go to a hard currency store and buy pasteurized milk that was cold, and with a box of instant Jell-O pudding, it wasn't the cook and wait and serve. You could stick that in a Ziploc bag, shake it up, and instantly have Jell-O pudding. That was awesome. Just in case you're ever over there and you want to know what to do. Bottom line, instant. We need to have instant obedience, right? So you can't just say, yeah, Mom, I'll do it. That's not instant obedience. Okay, so Joel knows about instant obedience. All right. Joel, time to come eat. I'll be right there. That's instant, but it's also added something that's not very obedient. And I have WD-40, and it's amazing. You can actually see this. What does the first line of this say, Zane? What's the first line say?
Stops squeaks.
Stops squeaks. Have you ever opened a door and it goes, when you get WD-40, you go, okay. All right, so that's the second key to obedience. Now, let's say that my mom asked me to take out the trash, and this is entertaining. You guys are paying attention to me. You're not talking. It's entertaining for kids. So I put 3 pieces of trash down. Joel's mom says, Joel, I want you to take out the trash. And I'm like, okay, Mom, I'll do it with a good attitude, and I'm doing it right away. And I'm like, ooh, there's 3 pieces of trash. I'll get 1. All right, I did it, Mom. Well, is that being obedient if you did part of it? What if I took out 2 of the 3 pieces of trash? I did most of it. Isn't that good enough? No, it's not. So you got to do it totally, and we have total cereal. Ta-da! All right, so then the next key. Now, 1 involves what you say, and this one involves your actual attitude. And you should have a cheerful attitude. And then the last one, I used to do go the extra mile, but someone else had this one, which is good and plenty. And this is an important concept in obedience. And that is, you need to do what's good and right. So if somebody asks you to obey and they're asking you to do something that's not right, you wouldn't do it if it's not right. You would only do it if it is right. But that's an overview of the 5 keys to obedience, and that works with 5th graders if you only have 5th graders. If you had a large group with 5th graders through 1st grade, the 5th graders would be like, that's boring. But if you did it with just 5th graders, they'll think that's cool if you're willing to act it out. So that is, I would say, the keys to Jesus at age 12. And then the last one, Jesus on the road to Emmaus. I tried to think of a fun thing to do, and I've done an initiative at camp where what you do is you have stepping stones, and the stepping stones are a puzzle. And so you as the counselor know that the only way to go through this trap is a certain method. So my suggestion for day 3 story is that you lay out, and yes, we have all these. We have made copies of stepping stones, which the kids do not know what is underneath. And there is a specific way to set it up. Your curriculum shows you, but also I've made it easy. There's a number 12 on the back corner, number 11. So what you're going to do is you're going to set your pieces out on the floor in a grid. So we have 11. And once you get the first one, all your pieces come in order. You could double check. I think is it a 4x4 or 3x4? 3, 4. Okay, cool. So basically, you have 3 across and 4 tall. And so what I would do is have your kids line up in one line. And this is, hey guys, I'm going to tell you a cool Bible story, but before we do, we have to pass this puzzle. And so you see those stones on the floor? Just like Indiana Jones going to get a treasure, you can only solve this in one specific pattern. And what's going to happen is that the kids will line up, and the first kid, you can only step on one of these 3 stones, and basically you can't skip any stone. So they step here, and you're like, you died, to the end of the line. So they go to the end of the line, and then the next kid comes, and they probably weren't paying attention. Step on the same stone. You died, to the end of the line. Well, eventually they'll get it, and it goes here, and it kind of has a funky way where every stone is hit, but each stone represents a part of the story when Jesus reveals himself to the disciples who didn't know who he was when they first ran into him. So when they get a correct stone, I would flip it over. And so once you have a correct stone, actually I put the bottom row in wrong here. It starts with the guys on the road to Emmaus. But anyway, once they get a correct stone, well then, when it's time to tell the story, then they're seated on the floor, and you're like, okay, right after Jesus' death, there were 2 disciples. We have Cleopas, and we have the unknown disciple. Oh, by the way, here's a quick skit. If you want to do the skit, you could. The words are there. Well, then you just move along, and with the picture, you tell the next part of the story until you get to the treasure, which is God revealed. So that's a nutshell of each of the 3 stories. We have all that provided for you. You can run with it. You can adjust it. Your call. It will be in your classroom. In your classroom, you will have a grocery bag, and it'll say day 1 craft, day 1 story, day 1 snack. And day 1 is dig, and so on the snack, I believe that it's dirt and worms and pudding. So they're going to get a pudding cup, they're going to get dirt, and they're going to get worms. They can stick it in and eat it. That's a good one. I know, right? I love that. Day 2 is, and once again, the snack is kind of crafty, but the craft is also crafty. I know day 3 is probably the coolest snack I've ever seen. And that is, we wanted to do a scroll. And so we found a fruit roll-up rolled up into pretzels. So you unroll it, and it's a fruit roll-up that you can eat. And it's simple to do, but it can be consumed rather quickly. Day 2 is the graham cracker temple. Jesus in the temple. You get to make your own, almost like graham cracker candy house, sort of. All healthy. I'll rile them up right before they go home. Moms will be happy. Life is good. And then as far as our crafts, I have the sheet and I can't find my sheet. I know that day 1 for dig is really cool. There is an egg that is like an artifact stone that they have a little plastic implement and they scrape it off to get to what's underneath. Now, we discovered that when we handed it out to our said child in the office, who was pretending for the day, it took forever. But if you just like rub, then it goes really fast. So we thought we would let them struggle a bit so that it lasts a little bit longer, and then show them how you can go a lot faster. Well, once they break inside of it, there's a cross. So that's day 1. Day 2 is they're making a clay pot for growing a seed. And then day 3 is shine, which is treasure chest, shine the light, and so forth. All right, that's really quick. You have the notes.